Let's start with current trends before looking into the future and stuff. But Marshall, let's start with you. What's going on out there? What are the big things at the moment?
I guess it depends what you mean by out there, right? I mean, I think for Singapore, and specifically maybe Southeast Asia as a region, the Taylor Swift tour that we did, really, $20 there, really demonstrated that these sort of tentpole events that generate tourism, that get people out of their homes, out of their countries, it's not just the big sports events, right? It's not just the F1s, but you can do it around music with the right artists, with the right structure. And for Singapore specifically, that the infrastructure of this country made it so easy. Like if you didn't know Taylor Swift was happening, which is, you lived in on a rock, but people's days weren't interrupted. You drove to work, there was no traffic, you go have lunch, it's like, you wouldn't have known because it was all concentrated in that one area. Hotels were full, obviously restaurants were full, but in terms of the disruption to day to day, I mean, compared to F1, right? F1, the city basically shuts down. But from an economic value perspective, you've seen what's been shared publicly. I mean, it was an immense success for everybody involved. So I think that was sort of an eye-opening event for Singapore and Southeast Asia. Like, wow, music can actually be a tool to drive not just tourism, but just economic and profile of a country. So I think that was a big thing. And I think just Singapore and Asia in general, the last, 5 months, we've gone through probably the busiest 5 months ever. I mean, just the perfect cycle, perfect storm of these tours coming through, which we only have a limited control over. People always say, why don't you bring so-and-so out? Because it's like, well, so-and-so's busy. Like, we can't tell them, get on a plane and come play. From Ed Sheeran, Taylor, Coldplay, Bruno, all in 5 months. It's like unheard of. So these things come with, ebbs and flows, seasonality, but I think it's certainly been exciting to see everybody, all hanging out again, especially post-COVID, right?
What are the current trends from a venue perspective?
Yeah, so like Marshall said, it's been a crazy few months. Like we've welcomed into just our national stadium alone, just under 1 million people since January this year, and that was the big artist you're talking about. But I think a big advantage that we get here being in Singapore, it's not only the big Western acts, we get the large Asian acts as well. So kicking all that off was Mayday doing 2 sold-out concerts at the National Stadium as well. So we really get that combination for us here in Singapore of all the large Asian acts as well as large Western acts. I think we're finding, being Singapore is the way it is, our spectators are coming from all over the region and further afield. So, for my team delivering these events, people are coming from Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, of course, but also further afield to China, India, and regional travel is something we have to deal with, and we're dealing with, obviously, a wide span of people. And what we're seeing trend-wise as well, they're not just coming only for the concert, they are here the whole day. They are making it into a big experience, and also non-event days as well, coming through, really getting themselves immersed into this iconic moment for them. So we see that a lot, and giving that customer experience for them across that whole place, not just the concert venue, is a big key for us as a venue.
Nora, I know you live in Hong Kong, so maybe a slightly different perspective with an Asia-Pacific focus, but what trends are you seeing from a Live Nation perspective?
It's been really exciting. So Live Nation, we just announced our first quarter numbers, and it's the biggest ever for Live Nation. So 23 million fans are going to our shows globally, and we don't see it, slowing down at any time at all. And in terms of trends, so when we do see that fans are really looking for different experiences now, and they are not letting that go just yet, right, coming out of COVID. So they still prioritize live experiences. So with us, we have VIP Nation in Asia, which is a division out here that focus on delivering experiences to our fans. So, we mentioned Coldplay just now. So Coldplay is a great experience for fans because we curated special backstage tour for fans, and the response has been really good. So backstage tour includes where if you're a fan, you can come to the show, and then you get to look at the setup, and then you can talk to the production manager, and then you get to take a picture on stage before they go on stage. So all these are fans, what they are looking for. We see great demands there. So we will continue to work on that and make sure fans are getting even more long-lasting memories after the show.
It's very exciting, right? My Chris Martin name drop is 1999 Coldplay was supporting Travis at the indoor stadium here, and Chris Martin walked backstage after being on stage saying, "We are not a stadium band, why are we here?" And then they produced one of the greatest shows of all time. In terms of venues, and I know you've all got different perspectives. I mean, you kind of you've got two feet in the trough there, and you are a venue and you work with all of them. How are venues adapting? Let's start with you, Marshall. But how are venues adapting to audience preferences and demographics and tech and stuff? What are you seeing changing?
Yeah, that's a good question because we're going through it now. We just opened a 6,000 capacity venue in Bangkok, which is multifunctional but really music focused with the right acoustics, the sound, the lights, making it turnkey for bands to come through and play, whilst being able to do corporate events and what have you. So to make it pencil out, because Asia's a bit different, right? In the West, part of the ecosystem that supports live music is people coming and eating and drinking, mostly drinking, right? Australia, the panel previously, they are a big consumer of music, and part of that is because they make it a night out. They eat and they drink, they spend a lot of money at the bars. That helps with the venues, that helps with the promoters, that helps feed the whole ecosystem to get more content. Asia's not like that, right? The bars, the revenue, I mean, you can attest to it, it's low compared to other countries in terms of the F&B revenue coming in from shows, whether it's sports or music. So I think it's about figuring out, well, how do we manipulate that such where we are able to generate enough money to pay for the building, because the construction costs aren't that much cheaper here than in the West. So for us, it's looking at corporate partnerships, right? Finding the right partners that value the traffic that these shows generate, the fans that are coming in, the experiences, that association with a great night out, and saying, okay, well, that's UOB, is at the UOB live, and then you get that positive association. And then on the suites, on the hospitality, premium experiences, for corporate events, like even at Sports Up for Taylor, it was phenomenal, the suite experience. I mean, never seen it so activated with people, and all of that. A lot of that was through corporate relationships. So I think adapting that way is good. And we do see, though, the trends of F&B consumption improving as the food offerings get better, right? People will actually eat more, right? As the drink offerings get better and managing that experience get better, then people will drink more as well. So I think it's slowly changing, and I think that's a positive for the industry.
Mitch, how are you guys adapting?
All those things that Marshall talked about as well. We do big partnerships with all our fellow promoters and our corporates, but a big area that we've been focusing on, particularly in the last 12 months at Sports Hub, has been the outside of the stadium experience as well for everybody, the second that they get on site to the moment they leave as well. Everyone has a great experience in the stadium, but we want them to have a memorable experience from the second they walk on site. And so there's activations out there. So for a lot of the recent concerts, there was a lot of food trucks, there was a vibe outside before the concert even started, and that's something that we really embrace for Taylor Swift as well. We went to look at some of the other markets in Australia where she was playing, and the venues were more hesitant of all these people, the Cat 100 as we call it, the people who are coming on site but don't have a ticket. They were more hesitant to have them on site, where we actually embraced that and said, come on site, we're going to have all these activations in all our different spaces, and these spaces became areas for emerging artists to come and play and be a part of before and after the show. So that's been a focus as well as what we do inside the stadium, and that's a trend I think that we will keep going on as well, to make that whole end-to-end process a really great experience for these fans who are coming to visit us.
And Nora, same with you. I mean, as from the Live Nation perspective, you're working across the whole of the region.
I would probably link that question to sustainability, because at Live Nation we have Green Nation, which is a charter that promotes sustainability for concert tours, and then we work with venues very closely, in Singapore, in Hong Kong as well, where we're going to make sure there is no single plastic usage, for example, and then water filler stations everywhere as well. So we just did that for Jack Johnson in Hong Kong. As everybody knows, Jack Johnson is a big environmentalist. So
I paid paid for tickets in Singapore.
Good for you. So that was a great success.
Please don't tell any other promoters. I don't know.
The tour was happy, and obviously Coldplay again. At every production level, we made sure it's it's green. And if you have seen TikTok, you have seen fans spinning at the show probably. So we're trying to build that conscious and guidance to fans as well. You can help generate electricity at a show, and venues have been very supportive of these initiatives.
Fantastic, and I think, and I saw a lot of that at the Coldplay stuff, and I think sustainability is something that we could talk about for a whole day around the event business and stuff. But what strategies can be implemented? I mean, yes, it's fun to have everyone kind of participating and stuff like that, but Mitch, is there other stuff that you guys are doing to look at sustainability? And just saying that, I was with Robbie McRobbie from the Hong Kong Rugby Union, and he was talking about how they had tried to do the plastic cup thing, and it absolutely backfired, but they tried. Yeah,
I'll admit it's a real challenge for venues, particularly around this region. I think in terms of sustainability, we're not in the same areas that other regions of the world are as well. But Coldplay was a really good example of ones that we really tried to play our part, and I think it's probably a whole government approach that we need to. The food and beverage, for example, single-use plastics and what we can do there. So for us, it's a lot of balancing out what we can do. Obviously, we do things when we're growing grass at the stadium, collecting water for solar power, all those things we can do. But I think to a more minute level for these specific shows, a lot of it's focused on our F&B and where we can support. But then it's also balancing that out also with our artists on their security requirements as well. So it's coming to, I guess, that nice middle ground that we can all find together to promote what we can and support each other.
And it's a challenge as well, because as soon as you do something good, this hand, everyone shouts at you, well, how did you get here? Did you fly? It's like, well, I drove, I got a cab. But Marshall, what sustainability in AEG? Is there a green nation similar?
Yeah, we've got I believe it's called AEG One Earth, but similar initiative is sort of global best practices around venue development and looking at renewable energy sources, and whether it's solar panels and what have you. I think artists are also getting more conscientious of this, similar to Chris at Coldplay and what they've done with Live Nation to make sure that there is at least the awareness. At the end of the day, though, I mean, from a business perspective, it's thin margins for us as a venue developer and as a promoter, right? Most of the money goes to the artist, so you can only do so much before you kind of have to just have that tough conversation with the artist, say, hey, you can reduce your fees, that would make everything easier. Otherwise, a lot of that incremental cost just gets passed to you guys, the consumer, right? So I think it's good that there's more awareness. It's good that there's government support. I think, to Mitch's point, we probably need more of that on the venue side to really bring this to fruition. And then, once that flywheel starts, hopefully it's like a virtuous cycle. But certainly we're in the early days, but trending in a good direction, I think.
But climbing the hill, that's good. That's good. Let's talk about marketing. And Nora, as the head of marketing, we can start with you here. But are you employing any new innovative campaigns, any new ways of communicating with the ticket buyer?
I'll tell you our secret. So our best secret sauce is...
Hang on one sec, Marshall, block your ears.
Our best secret sauce is actually artist involvement. I'll give you an example. So Bruno Mars, he brought his stadium tour to Singapore and Thailand earlier this year. It was actually last month. So before the Singapore shows were on sale, he sent us a video. It was only 10 seconds. It's Bruno, he's busy, we understand that. But that 10-second video means a lot to us because it was very authentic, very genuine. You can feel that he really wants to come to Asia. And then when we share that, we've reached 4 million fans in 48 hours. And then we put it on sale, obviously, and then sold out, and then added a show for Singapore. So sometimes, it depends on the artist. It doesn't have to be very innovative. I feel like right now, at this day and time, what fans are looking for is being authentic and being genuine when we're promoting shows. So that's secret one. But secret two is that we are in the middle of cooking something. We are trying to figure out what we are going to do with the content creator piece. That's why this is so important to us, because we want to be able to collect a group of content creators who can work with us, and then we, amplify their organic content through their whole journey. You probably do the same thing too with your tours, Marshall. From day one, when they think about how to get a ticket, the pre-show experience, we call that, and then think about what to wear to a show, and then at the show, okay, so I'm gonna take a picture with Charlie Puth, and then after the show, I can't sleep for 2 days, because I'm too high from the show. So that whole experience is very genuine, and everybody experienced that. So we want to be able to work with creators to capture that moment, amplify that, and by working with them, also hoping that they can get more awareness through working with big corporations like us. So trying to do that in that space as well.
That's great to hear. I mean, as I said, I don't know if you hear this morning, but we were talking about why we're bringing music and creator ecosystem together. It's because of that. It's because there's so many similarities, but so many people don't get it yet. But you put them in a room together and they go, oh yeah. So hopefully you'll get to meet lots of cool people here. Marshall, what are your secrets?
Not many secrets. I think it's, I would say, look, Nora hit a lot of the innovation happening, but I think at the end of the day, nobody's coming to a show to see Live Nation or AEG. They're going to go see the artists themselves. So they sell themselves. So having an artist that, you're discussing up front the commitment you'll need from them to help participate in the marketing campaigns and how that benefits them, not just with ticket sales, but building an audience. I think certainly the way of music now is more of these artists becoming personalities, right, of their own, content creators of their own. It's not just about, the artistry of music, full stop, right? I mean, those kind of artists, they don't sell as many tickets typically because you don't build that affinity. Taylor Swift, you can put me down the swear jar. She that's what she's really good at. You can argue like she's the K-pop of American pop or vice versa. Maybe K-pop is her because of the fanaticism of the fans, because she interacts with them, she really engages with them. She has that persona of authenticity, and that resonates, especially this day and age. And I think when you see a show, the bar is so high now for the average fan. To just go see a one-man show, that's one thing, but now it's about the experience, right? It's about working with the venue for what's happening before the show, what's happening after the show. Do I get access backstage? Do I get to see, how the sausage is made? I think there is this trend towards a real full experience, and you look at the production of the bands that come through, they're way more sort of over the top and visual now than they used to be. So not to say that there's not a place for the true artistry of music and for fans that love that, but I think as a form of entertainment per se, the bar has certainly been raised. So I think the marketing of that has to be all integrated.
And what are you seeing? I know you guys don't necessarily promote your own events, but are you seeing any cool marketing initiatives?
Yeah, well, it's interesting for us. Obviously, we intentionally work with our promoters to get the marketing messages out operationally, right? Preparation, the special conditions of entry, those type of things. But what's actually really worked for us amazingly as a venue has been the accidental marketing promotions that have been happening for us on social media. So, we think back to Coldplay, the experience of 55,000 people leaving a stadium and lining up for a train sounds like the most mundane thing ever. But my guy who runs the precinct put his phone to the microphone and started pumping Coldplay, and next thing you know, that went viral on TikTok for an operations team, and everybody acknowledging that across the region, going, this is an amazing experience at the Sports Hub, this is amazing for Singapore, I wouldn't get this in my other country, was an amazing promotion for us to do, and that continued for all our other concerts for the season. And then, this even dates back to some of our big Korean shows. We did BTS back in the day, Blackpink, where, as part of our K-pop shows, we have to bring in operationally everybody on the floor in order. So for some of those shows, that's number 1, 2, 3, up to number 18,000 in order. And to do that in the National Stadium, we used the indoor stadium to house 8,000 people, and there's 10,000 people around the stadium. Bringing them in order suddenly became a thing where they all admired the orderly, the organisation of Singapore and what they're doing at the Sports Hub, that it's accidentally really promoted us as a venue and us as a country to hold these large-scale musical concerts and events.
There's a lot of the rain helped as well, didn't it? In a strange way, everyone was filming those amazing puddles. And
I'd just like to note those amazing puddles, which were knee-high, were not on our site. They were outside of our area.
Outside,
but yes, I don't know what cursed that event, but every single night of her 6 shows rained at some time during there. So in Singapore terms, I think they missed the chili and onion planting somewhere along there. But yes, that definitely added to the fun of all our shows, that's for sure.
Nora, we've talked a lot about AI today, and we'll continue to talk for the rest of our lives, I guess, but for the next day and a half. But is AI getting involved in live events, or are live events getting involved in AI?
So we did try something last year when the Strokes came to Singapore. We did employ an AI IG filter in the VIP experiences. So it was a test for us, and then the fans received it really well. So yes, there is a plan for us to continue to explore that area, but we just have to find the right artists who wants to explore that together with us. Another example is Alec Benjamin. When he came to Singapore about a year ago, Singtel actually worked with us to create a metaverse party for Alec Benjamin. So they created the avatar, and it was great. So we want to continue to move to that direction moving forward for sure. But we don't have a lot of plan in that space just yet. But yes, the short answer is yes, we do want to continue to do that. But we have to find the right partner and right artist.
So it's very, very, obviously it's very early days.
Yeah.
Especially if the AI artists take over, they're not going to be performing live, but that's a whole different day's conversation as well. Marshall, are you guys employing AI at all?
Not that I know of, at least here in Asia, but to your point, I know you're being facetious, but I do think our business is about human connection in the same way that streaming didn't work, live's come back with a vengeance. It's, what people are looking for when they pay for a ticket to go to a show is that connection with a physical being. And in that way, it's, AI disrupting our industry. If that is a version of the question, I personally don't believe that will happen. I think it's the same probably question is like, if concerts are like church, then will religion be disrupted by AI? Probably not, but who knows? Maybe it is early days, but that physical connection with thousands of people in the room, sort of worshiping this one person or this band, like that in itself is a very human thing. So AI is a nice to have. It could enhance maybe some of the ancillary experience, but the core value proposition, I think, will always be a human connection. But that's my own personal take.
So maybe it's more of the lead up to, and there's languaging, marketing, and actually you see some of these videos now of people speaking in foreign languages, or languages that are foreign to them, where you wouldn't know it was AI, and I'd be interested to see eventually if that can be taken into a live, kind of merging the ABBA Voyager experience with actually being on stage. But that's into the future. And Mitch, is the Sports Hub looking at any AI?
I think it's interesting. COVID taught us anything, and this topic's called Live Matters. That, like Marshall said, people want that connection.
Yep.
They're not coming to the stadium to hear the artist. Well, some do, with the perspective thinking it's going to be just as good as their streaming or what they're going to listen to at home. But if anything demonstrated over this period, the fact that people who don't have tickets will come down and sit outside of our stadium and connect with thousands of people. We had up to 10,000 people outside of the stadium in areas that I never thought people would go to. And obviously the sound isn't built for them, the concert experience is not built for them, but having that connection, waiting out there with fellow fans from the middle of the day in the burning sun through the rain really proves that connection can't be beat through AI, and they've got to come to the shows to experience that, and they do. That's for sure.
Okay, so AI doesn't matter for the live industry. It's good because everyone else has been so, I think the other things we have been talking about today, this morning, a lot about emerging artists, and yes, to find myself with the TS, the big people are really coming through and making a huge difference. Nora, what are Live Nation doing for the next generation, the emerging artists?
Touring is the expert in terms of picking the artists that they think believe in them and believe that they can sell in Asia. So we do have a couple of great case studies in Asia where they follow our very simple but yet rewarding strategy in terms of building their fan base out here in Asia. So I would take Lainey as an example. So Lainey, American band, from LA, we started working with them in 2017-18. So when they first came to Asia, they performed at a shopping mall in the Philippines and then, other clubs in Asia. And then they continue to grow the fan base because we try to look at where the fans are, dig deep, to look at their comments, their reviews, and look at the stats to identify them. And then they come here again at, bigger venues then, putting them at theaters, sold out in multiple, venues. And then arenas, we tested that last year as well. So they came for a few shows and then, it's arena shows and then we sold out as well. So we continue to see more stats and know that their fan base continue to grow. And then this year, fast forward to September, they're coming again. And then it's an arena tour, performing in 11 cities, 13 shows, also exploring new markets in Kaohsiung and Cebu as well. So that's a great testament on how the band believes in us, believes in our touring team, and work with us together to help build their fan base. So we'll continue to do those things with emerging artists, for sure.
Fantastic. AEG getting involved in developing bands or?
I mean, I think there's always, it's an art versus a science of what are the bands that will work in Asia, because it's easy to say, all right, Bruno Mars, Coldplay, Taylor Swift, all right, yes, I will do that tour, right? But if you're looking at the emerging bands, trying to figure out what capacity, venue they can play, how many tickets they could sell, how much do you pay them, all of that, it is definitely an art, because sometimes it is a surprise what artists sell, right? And a lot of that now, it's not just looking at streams, but it's, for example, we had a few, like there was one artist that we did, small artist, that just did immense business here in Southeast Asia, but it was because their song during COVID was featured on this other content creator's, video, and so that's how that band got popular, is because this YouTuber in Asia had a huge following and they used one of his songs, and it's one of those things where it's and they don't sell well in the UK, but they're a UK band, so it's very interesting why things work in Asia but maybe not in other countries for Western artists, obviously. So I think it's just for us, just keep being a bit more expansive in how we look at what works here, not just looking at one source of data, but really figuring out, maybe this is something AI could help with, to be honest. It's like trying to figure out what demand is at the end of the day, because it's not just streams. It's very complex who you will actually pay a ticket to go see, and depending on when they come out, and so. Nice insight. Yeah.
We are out of time, so I'm going to go straight to the final question, and that's what does the future hold? In a summary, Mitch, what's exciting for you, for Sports Hub? What's up next?
The most exciting thing for my team was rest, to sleep, because it was been relentless, to be honest. It was nice to see some grass back in the stadium last weekend with the rugby sevens, because we have been doing concerts for a while. But as we know, there is a season ahead of us with more shows. But for us, I think as a venue, it's really making those infrastructure improvements, or where we can, to really help the promoters, help the artists, and really get the best value and the best experience in the venues. We talk about acoustic areas where we can really help there. So where do we make those investments? And like I've touched on numerous times, those auxiliary events, what we can do outside to really support that end-to-end experience, which all the consumers are coming with these days, wanting that experience to be more than just the show, but everything from the moment they buy their ticket till they go home, being involved in that process for us.
Nora?
For us, still no sleep. Summer is coming, so we are entering a booming concert season. So we do see a lot of tours coming. We just have Leve selling a few markets out here in Asia. Colin Gray, it's also selling really well. So more to come.
Fantastic. Final word.
Same. Just keeping our heads down and working hard. I think for us, China is opening up a bit more, so I think that's something we're excited about, doing some more out there. We've got an office there. We have a venue there as well, a large arena in Shanghai, which is doing great. But I think for us, just reintegrating China into the Asia touring circuit.
There's a whole panel in that one as well. But thank you so much for spending time with us today.